make it look like it's somewhat certain. So I picked the two that were the best condition, and take a look at part of the trade. So I bought each of these for $900, and so he sold the other 8 for $925. But I had bought them for the customer.
They did give me a cut rate. The price of gold has just dropped, but it was still a little bit too easy for mine.
Well, you gotta know the trade. And yeah, those are nice. Is it a proof one? Yeah. Those eventually, because they're so expensive, might get to be scarce because people aren't going to pay the price.
Well, we did. Anyway, we stopped in there. We did on our walks and trips, and sometime I did get a 2 Manslayer poultry. They had the women.
Right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Watch this 12:15. We have a quorum with the 3 board members.
Okay.
I call the meeting to order. And the business of this special meeting is a new email address in keeping with the directives of the board at the last meeting. The secretary, as owner, caretaker of, administrator of the address.
So moved. Is that the right spot? Have you?
So Clay has moved that, I'm going to say this and you can correct me if I'm incorrect, has moved, we set up a new email address for the HOA and with the secretary as the owner.
Yes, this is what I understand. Is the motion?
Discussion.
So why are you setting up a new email address?
I assume it's because we can't get the password to the old email address.
You can have the password to the old email address. There was just a few things that were of concern, and you hadn't set up a meeting to physically get it. After the last meeting, when did you request a meeting to physically get it versus transfer it via email?
The concern is starting new, fresh, with a new email address.
And what's the need for this?
It's
Oh.
a fresh start.
It's a fresh start.
Yep.
What happens to the old email records?
They stay where they are, I presume.
Okay. So, have you done any business of the association outside of that email address so far? PooterOverlookHOA@gmail.com. Has any association business been done on any other email address since May 25th?
Certainly mine,
Okay. Which email address?
which is joneswv66@gmail.com.
Okay. Are those emails going to be incorporated into the records of the association?
The emails and records is unclear.
Why is it unclear?
May I finish?
Sure.
The record keeping of the association, it is clear, and I did not bring the paper with me, what is required. And whether or not emails that are discussions is unclear where that stands, and until I personally have better direction on that, I cannot answer at this time.
You're unclear about the requirement per statute and our governing documents that
I am
emails
unclear
leading to
about
action.
email and personal discussions.
Okay. So you want to do business outside of the main email account? How do we ever have continuity if the old emails are then deleted, which is what the last board said that they did?
I do not wish to do business outside the email account.
Okay. Did you have access?
That is irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant? You said it's necessary to have a new one because you didn't have the password, but you did have the password for POHOA@gmail.com.
Which I asked you repeatedly to take down because I did not ask you to set that up, and so we're not discussing that.
Per
because
Google,
it
per
is-
Google, but Google Workspace admin requirements require the admin to set up the user accounts for the other users.
Actually, that is not correct. The other users, Clay for one,
Mm-hmm.
has requested which email he wishes to use,
Mm-hmm.
and again, you have refused to take the other one down. So we're going to start fresh.
Can you
That's what this
delete? Can
is
you
all
delete?
about.
Can you delete a Gmail account set up in your name?
That is what. So
Can
starting
you?
fresh is
You
what
had
this
you had
is
the
all
password
about.
for POHOA@gmail.com. You could have logged in and deleted the account if you wished to, correct?
We're starting fresh. That is what this.
But
is
you
about.
could have deleted the account if that was your desire,
That
correct?
is irrelevant. We're starting fresh.
It's just a simple fact. Yes, you can, or no, you can't. You could have deleted that on your own if you wish to delete that. And like Clay did, Clay wished to have a vanity email address, and he set that up on his own, and that was connected to the account. Right, Clay?
Jeff, you had your hand up.
Just briefly, after the last meeting, when the board directed the turning over of the password, you did approach Andy and request that he declined. You said,
No, she asked me to recite it out loud, just to be
And you
correct.
just-
No,
Declined.
I asked you to write it down.
I got the floor.
Yes, you do. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Sorry.
So initially it was, can you get it? You said, I do not have it on the top of my head. Valid point. Can we walk over to your house and get it? No. I've got issues I want addressed before I will release that. At that point, we left. The board directed you to turn it over. We were trying to come to an accommodation. It was not a negotiation, it was a board directive. You declined, we left, and now the only option, it seems, is to start fresh so that the residents have a clear view of who is communicating with them on behalf of the board. And that should be the secretary as per an earlier board motion. So that's,
May I respond to the comment?
Yes.
Okay. So there was no refusal to provide the password. The issue is that there's more than one email address, and those email addresses have not also been opened up. So are you going to open up the email address POHOA.docrev@gmail.com?
The issue is you did refuse because
Yes.
you flat said,
What power?
when I get what I want, I will release the email.
I'm sorry, that's on recording. That is not what was stated.
Sorry.
I was there.
So was I, and it's on recording. So just to be clear,
We're not going
password-
into any recording.
okay, we're not doing what?
We're not going into any recording. The question on the floor is a new email
Okay, but we're not inventing fiction either.
with the secretary.
Okay, the
as
password is
administrator.
written right here.
New email address with the
password is
secretary
written right
as
here.
administrator.
Will you acknowledge that the password is written right here?
I can't read it from where I stand. I
Correct,
don't-
okay, but here it is. So here's the password, okay, for the Gmail account. What has occurred since August 1st that has been detrimental to the association as a result of the situation you've described?
We have no idea because we couldn't get into the Gmail account.
Well, you could if you would use the access that's been set up for you, or set up any alternate
Which was
access.
not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
What is the acceptable solution?
My new email address.
Okay. Would you set up a new email address? I would like to amend your motion that the POA secretary shall allow, use, and apply written security protocols and guidelines without exception of the email and or cloud storage platform provider while administering the account. Second,
Well, stop
second
one
motion.
motion at a time.
Okay, that's an
Discussion.
amendment to your motion.
Yes. Discussion.
I have no new items to address to that.
All right. Then it's up for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Against? I also vote against.
So you're against
Well, one
against
moment.
following security protocols for the new email address that you're going to set up.
No, I'm against.
The POA secretary shall follow, use, and apply the written security protocols and guidelines without exception of the email and or cloud storage platform provider while administering the
Can
account.
you please slow down so I can write that down?
I've sent it to you in writing. You have a copy of this email as of this morning.
All right.
It's also been published to the community. It's also on the Front Steps website.
POA secretary shall follow.
Use and apply the written security protocols and guidelines without exception and of the email and or cloud storage platform provider.
Will you please slow down so I can write this down? Apply written security.
Protocols and guidelines without exception of the email and or cloud storage platform provider while administering the account.
Of the email.
Email and or cloud storage platform / provider while administering the account.
All right, you said you had it.
Okay.
Next, further discussion on the new email.
Here you go. To speed it up, here's all of them written. The same email that was sent to you earlier today. So you don't have to slow things down handwriting. So you're not going to follow any security protocols.
The new, that motion has been lost. Moving on.
So you're going to have no security.
Moving
Great.
on.
Next motion.
That's
All
your
POHOA directors and officers shall have unique and exclusive email addresses for use in all communications while executing the duties and responsibilities of their positions. The email address shall not be shared with any other persons, including spouses, partners, or any members of the director's or officer's household. The email address and all contents shall be the record of the POHOA Association and shall be preserved permanently by the POHOA secretary.
That is a policy, and therefore I will not entertain that amendment. Moving on.
If it is an amendment, you can vote on it or table it.
That is a policy, and we are not dealing with policies. That would violate all our policies.
Point of order. It's a amendment that has been tendered.
It is a
It requires either a
policy.
vote
It
or
is a-
tabling. Each requires a vote.
It is an amendment offered, which I am not accepting because it is an amendment in the form of a policy. Moving on.
I'm sorry, you're changing the email address and that's not changing a policy?
Moving on.
Okay. The email addresses used by the association and committees or any agents of POHOA shall have logins and passwords that are kept by the administrator and are not used for day-to-day activities. The password should not be shared by email or any digital method to ensure security. Directors, officers, and committee members shall not use the same login or share the same login.
Again, that's a policy. If you want to create policies on how the board uses emails, then that's a whole nother.
When you took action last week and you directed another director, was that not a policy?
No.
What power are you assuming when you say you can direct another director?
The board.
The board?
directed. The board made the directive.
Directive. Orders. Got it.
Next.
The POHOA email administrator shall create unique delegate logins for the primary HOA email and any special email addresses for each director, officer, or committee member that will ensure all actions can be tracked and assigned to the individual responsible for security and resolution of technical issues that may arise.
Again, this is policy. Andy, if you want to create policies.
Will you have a vote on this amendment, or
No, this is a policy. I am not accepting it.
you're not accepting it?
No.
Point of order. That is not correct. You have to
I
have a vote
disagree.
on whether or not you amend it or table it.
It is not.
Will you add it to the agenda of the next meeting?
It is not a
Will you add it to the agenda of the next meeting?
I have not accepted it. Therefore, move on.
Will you add it to the agenda of the next
Move on,
meeting?
Andy.
Will you add it to the agenda of the next meeting?
No. Move on.
All POHOA emails with vendors, including experts or advisors, shall be permanently stored in the primary email account for the POHOA Association. If individual director officer email addresses are the original sender receiver, the emails shall be copied or forwarded to the primary email address for archiving without exception.
Again, another policy.
Okay, so you refuse to have a vote or table this?
Correct.
Point of order, that's incorrect.
I disagree. Moving on.
Point of order, have you taken any classes on Robert's Rules of Order?
Yes.
Have any certifications?
No. Moving on.
The POHOA directors and officers shall not delete or conspire to delete any emails, nor shall they prevent, delay, or otherwise obfuscate discovery of emails properly requested by homeowners.
Again,
Directors or officers with appropriate restrictions for privacy as denoted in the governing documents or as directed by legal counsel in cases of litigation.
Again, Andy, you're bringing up policies that have nothing
asking to
do
amend your
with
motion.
Creating this new email account. And if you want to create policies, you are more than welcome to write up the policies and start down that process of enacting policies. for the
How would we
HOA.
enact a policy if you don't allow anything to ever be added to the agenda? You don't respond to any emails for action without a meeting, and you don't allow it on the agenda.
Well, actions without meetings, we apparently do not do precisely because, which is why we're here today. We can't do it without a meeting, and we are at time. So we need to wrap
Action
this
without a
up.
meeting was done 18 times between January of 2021 and May of 2021.
Andy, that was
was
the old
acknowledged
board.
at the.
That was
I'm sorry,
not
I'm speaking.
this board.
I'm sorry. I thought interruptions were a bad thing.
Go ahead.
Okay. At the 5/12 meeting, it was acknowledged that 18 actions without a meeting were taken between January of 2021 and that date, and I believe Director Jones said at that time, Gloria Jones said at that time, that she had best practices from some unnamed party saying that you could backwards affirm those actions without a meeting and therefore make them legal.
So, Andy.
So what was the source of that information?
Andy, that was a different board. The question on the floor that we must vote on because we are out of time, unless we.
It's an arbitrary time. You created this meeting out of thin air with insufficient notice
Andy,
at 3:57 p.m. on
Didn't you just
Saturday.
say interrupting was a bad thing?
I don't know. That's what you said.
So, we must take action on this
Why
So-
must we? Please.
because we are out of time and we will be adjourning.
Okay. I have one more amendment.
Too late. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm going to read the amendment. Point
No,
of
you're
order.
not. We're going to vote. All in favor of creating.
What is the new email? I'm sorry, the discussion hasn't been closed. What is the email address and platform you plan to use?
All in favor of the board, or of the secretary creating a new email address and administering that address on behalf of the Cooter Overlook Association, Homeowner Association, all in favor signify by saying aye, or raising your hand. Aye. Opposed?
I abstain from the vote because I haven't been given enough information about what platform you're using,
Then the-
about what email address you're creating, where the digital drive storage will be held, and what access will be given or how it will be given to any other parties, including other directors, officers, committee members, etc. You haven't answered any of these questions. You're
The
just
vote,
going.
passes.
Point of order. Your
and-
meeting minutes haven't actually documented abstentions from the vote.
Because
Will you put?
abstentions per Robert's rules are not documented.
Okay. You didn't vote count the. You didn't include the vote count or who voted in the last meeting minutes.
First of all, I asked if that was something the secretary should do, and nobody directed the secretary to do it. This meeting is adjourned.
By the way, per our governing documents, I'm making a contemporaneous. I don't believe that you gave proper notice, so the actions here I don't believe are legal. You posted this at 3:57 p.m. on Saturday. This is not 48 hours. The timestamp is on the Front Steps website. So per the governing documents, I do not agree or assent to this decision.